In this course, you had the opportunity to contribute to a massive open digital project with iFixit. The content that you contribute to iFixit will be licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. This is abbreviated CC BY NC SA. Unless you know about Creative Commons licenses already, this won't make much sense. And if you haven't learned about copyright law, it probably isn't clear what licenses are or why they matter. Let's start with the legal basics of copyright law. This is relevant to you, I promise. The first thing to understand is that you're a copyright holder. As a student, you've probably written essays, designed graphics, or written computer code. All of these things can be creative expressions which have special protection under the law. You don't have to register your copyrights anymore like you did in the past. Copyright is automatic. You do have to put your creations in a fixed or tangible form, which could be an audio or video recording, an email, or paper and crayon. So what's not protected? Well, facts, lists of data, anything less creative than the phone book, according to legal precedent. Computer code can be creative enough to be copyrighted. Architecture, including, arguably, sandcastles, is a form of creative expression. What power does a copyright holder have? When you hold the copyright to a work, other people are supposed to ask for permission before they copy, distribute, display, perform, or build on your work. Copyright lasts for a long time, your entire lifetime plus 70 years. So if all this stuff is locked down under copyright, what's the deal with the entire internet? Memes, social media, fanfic. Are people getting permission to reuse stuff? Or is this just a case of massive piracy? Well, piracy and permissions both happen a lot, but a third option is fair use. Fair use consists of 4 factors. The purpose of the use, including whether it's nonprofit and educational or transformative in nature. Fair use plays an important role in documentary filmmaking, art, the news, and your college courses. These types of expression are so important to open discourse that they're highly protected by fair use. If the work is unpublished or unreleased by the copyright holder, it may be more protected. Highly creative works like fiction may be more protected than less creative works like how-to guides. The third factor is the amount or substantiality of the portion used. In other words, you only want to take the part necessary to accomplish your purpose. The fourth factor is the effect of the use upon the potential market. The third and fourth factors together explain why it is almost never okay to take someone's entire book or film and give it away for free online. A professor sharing one poem with their class on Moodle, or you sharing a photo you really love with just your Facebook friends, would be more defensible under fair use. In the digital world, if your use isn't fair use, you might simply link to a picture, video, or text rather than copy it. Of course, you don't want to link to something that's clearly pirated, since it will probably get taken down and it's not a legal copy. It's a little unclear whether or not embedding content is always okay. However, YouTube's license explicitly allows embedding. We're going to talk about licenses next. If someone's use doesn't fall within fair use, they are supposed to ask for permission. The creator can then give them permission, which is called a license. It's not very efficient for a reuser to have to track down a copyright holder and wait for permission every time they want to use something. It can also be a burden for copyright holders to be peppered with requests. Sometimes publishers or other organizations sell licenses for creators. Creators may also transfer their copyright to an organization. The library buys licenses that allow us to give students access to resources like ebooks and movies. You probably have licenses for streaming media and apps you use individually too. If you want to give your work away for free, you can apply a Creative Commons license. Creative Commons licenses are designed by lawyers and experts, but are easily understandable to regular people. They also allow creators to apply different options to their works. All Creative Commons licenses require attribution, the little person or CC BY element. You must give credit to the original, including the title, author, license, and source of the work. The legal requirement to attribute Creative Commons works is different than the academic requirement to cite sources you reference or quote. The information you need to cite and attribute is very similar though, and it's easy to confuse them. Talk to your instructor or a librarian if you have questions about how to properly attribute a Creative Commons work. The share-alike or SA element asks others to share any remixes under the same license if they're shared publicly. The ND or no derivatives element asks that others not make changes or alter the original work. The NC or non-commercial element asks that the work not be used for-profit purposes. So when you create an original work, you can choose any Creative Commons license elements you want. When you're joining a big project already underway, like iFixit or Wikipedia, the organization may require all creators to apply the same license in order to participate. Wikipedia content is generally licensed under CC BY SA, and, as we talked about at the beginning, iFixit projects are licensed under CC BY and CSA, adding that non-commercial element on. People who put Creative Commons licenses on their works are expanding the availability of open works, or works that other people can build on without permission. Some works aren't encumbered by copyrights at all, including works created by US federal government employees and works whose copyrights have expired. These are in the public domain and are the most open type of open work. Usually you can customize, remix, build on, or share open works. Some Creative Commons elements, like the no derivatives or ND, discourage remixing and customization. Some people argue works with an ND license are not truly open, though they still allow others to copy without permission. When students create something useful and open in their classes as part of their assignment, this is called open pedagogy. Students often find this experience to be more meaningful than doing assignments that never get used again, and they help other people in the process. Two last things about sharing. Sharing your creative work openly is your choice. Talk to your instructor about an alternative assignment if you don't want to make your work open. Think about your own comfort level when it comes to privacy. Do you want to share your name, where you live, images of your kids or your home? What negative or positive consequences can you think of? Even when you post something on social media, these are important considerations. You can apply an open license to any works that are your original creations by going to creativecommons.org and then clicking Share Your Work. Follow the directions from the license chooser and copy the statement it generates into your document, image, film, or what have you. Voila, you made it open. This doesn't mean that everyone's going to find it though. If you want lots of people to use it, consider who your audience is. Is your work accessible to all potential users? You may need to do a little additional work so people who use screen readers or need captions can access your creation. Where would the people you want to reach be looking for content? On social media, YouTube, Wikipedia, a self-publishing platform like Amazon's CreateSpace? What words would your target audience use to search for your creation? Many platforms let you add tags or keywords that help searchers discover your work. If you have more questions about sharing your work, copyright, or using open licenses, librarians can help you find more information.